welcome to Whiskey and Wool. My name is Shannon, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Whiskey and Wool. Welcome. I hope you're doing well. I hope the news isn't getting you down. This probably would be a good time to tell you. I'll have resources down below in the description box. I have had some resources in the description box for the last year, maybe a little longer, for allying with folks that are being oppressed. We're now adding in all women. So I will have sources down below. Rather than spending time, I would love to spend an hour talking to you about the tragedy and the impact and of the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. But you're not here for that. You're here for knitting, right? And spinning. We're going to talk about wool. There are some organizations there are some yarn shops and some small businesses that are doing some really great things. You will best find those on Instagram. I've been reposting them when I see them to my stories. So yeah, I just like to be upfront. I just want you to know who I am. And for me, Roe v. Wade has always been about female equity and equality. It's always been about that. So it's not about the unborn. So yeah, if you don't agree with my political views, stop watching. Because you should just know who I am. And if you don't agree and you want to unsubscribe, that's great. That's fine. You do you. I'm gonna do me. I do want to say one more thing about that. The news is devastating, but one thing that we can learn from watching the Black people's struggle to get equal rights for themselves is that it's often like the cha-cha. It's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. So, and this is a giant step back in my view, but there's bright spots, and it's not 1973. There's a lot of changes have happened, but what just gather yourself and prepare if it's devastating to you, this change in our access to healthcare. Gather yourself and prepare, because we are going to keep fighting. And all of that. Anyway, sources down below if you need help, or if you're curious. I'll have a little list that will stay in my description box until this is never a problem anymore, which I imagine I'll be dead before this is never a problem. So it'll be years and years and years and years. I'll die of old age, very old age. So this will be years in the future. It's gonna stay down there forever until I no longer do this. And anyway, welcome. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Do be kind to yourself and to others, no matter which side that you're on. And with this issue, it's important to remember that we're all human, and we might have different political views, but we're all human. Anyway, it's Saturday. And I'm coming to you from northern New Jersey, and it is really hot. I think it's going to be like 93 today. So I pulled out an oldie but goodie, my sleeveless version of my Rye Layering Tee. It is a crew neck, rib knit, any ribbing you choose, 1x1. You can even do stockinette. You can do any sleeve length you want. This is what happens when you have no sleeves, where you just knit the body and then you add a 1x1 rib trim around the armhole. Yeah. Am I sitting? Is the camera crooked? I'm gonna fiddle with it. Better, right? Looks better anyway. My shoulders look straight now. Maybe this one's This one's higher. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so this is a pattern that you can buy on Ravelry. If you email me, we can do a PayPal exchange if you're not on Ravelry. It's been very well tested and it's been knit by a lot of people. I don't know if everyone has made Ravelry pages, but yeah, it's a great pattern. I've made about 5 of them. I have 2 more planned. I was hoping to get to them this summer, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Anyway, let's get into the regular programming. I want to start this episode the way I always do. My first segment after the intro is about a whiskey or gin chat, and today it is a gin chat. I filmed it last night, and I'm so excited to have found. Anyway, go watch. And if you're not interested, this one runs a little longer because I spent some time talking about I spent more time talking about the gin than I usually do. It's about 15 minutes, but I'm going to tell you where to skip to right now if you don't have any interest in watching that. If you don't have any interest, I understand. It's fine. Do what you need to do. And I will be right back here to talk to you about the wool. I'm going to talk to you today about a gin. I am so excited about this gin. But before we get into what it is, it is Friday. I finished my last meeting. I worked out. I don't usually work on Fridays. I work out on Fridays, but I don't usually work my job. But today was a special meeting, so I went. And yeah, it is like a little bit before I go walk the cat and cook dinner, and the news has been so up and down this week. I just am ready. I'm ready for a cocktail. So the gin we're gonna taste today is this Scottish gin called Rock Rose. Until this year, this is the very first time I've ever been able to find this in the United States. This is a craft gin from Scotland. When I went to Scotland in 2019 for Edinburgh Yarn Festival, I tasted this gin. I went with one of my sons, and we were sampling whiskeys and gin all over the place, and we saw this. This was all over the place. This and Edinburgh gin you can get, of course, all over Scotland, along with many, many other craft gins. And I remember loving it. It was on my list to bring back, but I was bringing back several bottles already. They did have a small gift pack of small sizes. This is their regular premium Scottish gin, just straight up original edition. But what they do now is some seasonal editions, one for summer, autumn, winter, and then they have a navy strength, and they have a few others. They have a few other limited quantities, small editions of one. I think there was one, I want to say there was one that was rose, maybe from a seaside rose or something like that. Anyway, I remember standing in the store looking at it going, all right, I just have to draw the line somewhere because all these bottles won't fit in the luggage I brought. So I just decided not to get that gin, and thinking I'll be able to get it when I get home. Nope, not until 2022. I remember really loving it. I don't remember its tasting notes. I just remember really liking their story. So let me share their story with you before I get into the tasting of it. Oh, and did I say I'm in my home office? Where I normally film my whiskey and gin chats, my cat is lounging out sleeping. And because he likes to go for walks at 4 o'clock, and it's just about 4 o'clock now, I decided not to bug him and to just film over here. So yeah, this is my home office with my books. These are related more to the things that I teach about. And I think, oh no, there's some sculpture right over there. That's all else you're seeing here. So anyway, their story. This distillery established itself in 2014, so it's fairly new. Not even 10 years old. It was established by a married couple, Martin and Claire Murray. They went to school, and went to college. I don't know when they met. It doesn't say that on anything I found about them. But Claire is from Dunnet Bay, it's the northernmost part of the UK that is on the mainland. There are more northern islands and stuff after this, but so Dunnet Bay is like the head point of the most northerly point of the UK. So I'll have put maps on and stuff for you right now. Anyway, Martin learned how to, he did chemical engineering, but he learned how to distill in the process of, learning about other chemistry. Both of them worked in the gas and oil business. Gas and oil or gas and... Wait, I saw it. Yeah, oil and gas industry. So after 10 years of working in that industry, they decided that they wanted to pursue a dream of opening their own distillery. And so they went back to Claire's hometown and looked around to see if there was a space that they could find. And they bought down a rundown brick building or stone building, obtained their licenses, and then ordered their still from the oldest distillery engineering business in the world, John Doerr and Company. I don't know if I knew that before this. And because they were very north, it took them over 8 months to get the still, but they got it. And they, through trial and error, came up with a recipe they loved. They tried 55 recipes. Using 80 different botanicals at different degrees, and ended up landing on an 18 botanical combo. They are a mix of traditional and the unusual. This, of course, they have juniper in it. And again, I think I've said this many times, companies will not tell you exactly what they're using. They just give you enough so that you get what the notes will be and you can have an idea of the flavor. So they, of course it has juniper, but they were also known for using, a specific red berry from Scottish rowan trees to add like delicate fruit notes. And they also use dazzling orange berries from sea buckthorn shrubs grown along the coastline where the distillery is in Caithness. So Caithness is the coastal area, the region of Scotland, and the surrounding, or the area, the head is called Dunnet Bay. And I have a load of beautiful pictures. It looks stunning. I think a lot of people holiday there. And also it made a lot of, there's one other root that they use. It's called Rhodolia rose, or rose root. That they use, and it grows along the cliff tops by the distillery. So that's pretty cool that they're mixing like regional ingredients with traditional ingredients, which I really, really love. So they call themselves Handcrafted. They released their first batch in August of 2014 and 2014, and it was an instant success. It sold out in 2 days. This has been their signature bottling, this ceramic bottle, and it's also quite heavy, so you can imagine why I was a little reluctant to carry it home on the plane. They also have a navy strength and a few others, but yeah, this is so I stumbled upon this. I went to Maine last weekend, and there's a massive tax-free New Hampshire we drive through New Hampshire for like a hot minute. And in that hot minute, there are a bunch of liquor stores that you can pull, like right on the highway, that you can pull off into. And they have a great selection, usually. And you're paying a little less because you're not paying tax. So I saw this there and I picked it up. So for me, it was about $40. British pounds, it looks like it's about 35 according to the website of the distillery. And they also named the distillery for the Dunnet Bay region. It is called Dunnet Bay Distilleries. I think they also make a vodka. They also have a really great refill program where you can buy a refill pouch instead of buying a ceramic bottle over and over. Yes, I found the vodka. It's called Holy Grass Vodka. But the packaging is all very similar. It's just that they do different colors. So like the seasonal one, the one that you can find right now, I can't find it here, but you can find it if you're in the UK or maybe another region of the world where this is readily available. But it's all green for the summer one. So it's really, really cool. All right, I now need to just jump back over to the tasting notes so that I can share that with you when it's time. I like to share what the distillery itself says and then what a professional says. So let me just see. I saw it, and when I see it, when I'm trying to do my research, it's hard to oh no, I don't want to see that. So I want to try to figure it out by myself. All right. Anyway, let me go to. I found it. Okay, cool. Here is some poured out in a glass, and hold on one sec. Yes. Okay. Poured out in a glass. A few drops of water to help sort of open up some of the tasting notes. So let me tell you what I smell. Okay. It's got a lot of citrus, which I think is coming from the juniper. I smell a lot of juniper. It has like almost a creamy smell too, if that makes sense, like a buttery. A little spicy, but not too much. Oh, there's such a rush of sensation, like so many flavors going on. There's like a tart fruit that I would characterize like pomegranate, like that tart but red. Like, so kind of a fullness, but also tart. I like to go with so as I'm tasting things, like words pop into my mind, and I thought the word rosemary before I could even process what I was tasting. So I think there's rosemary. So rosemary is kind of piney, but also herbally. Definitely a nice herbal blend. This is really drinkable. It's gonna make an awesome, like, I like to drink my gin with soda and maybe some sort of fruit garnish, depending on what is. I usually go with whatever is recommended. But okay, I'm gonna read to you what. By the way, I love that this says on the label, one of nature's little treats. It's really cute. Flavorful, fresh, zesty, yet berryful with long, smooth finish. Okay, let's see what they say beyond what it says on the bottle on their website about the tasting notes. Okay, on the nose, rose, cardamom, and a touch of citrus. Palate, fruity berries merge with floral note to give a full-bodied, rounded gin. That's a good way to describe it. It's definitely full-bodied and well-rounded. Bright notes ping as the juniper comes forward. The finish is sea buckthorn emerges. I don't even know what that would taste like. I don't even know what that smells like. So I'll just have to take their word for it. Rounded off by berries and juniper, a smooth lemon sherbet note creates lingering finish. Okay, that's what they say about themselves. Let's see what it says on a professional tasting site. A proper gin with lots of juniper on the first sip. That's what I said. This gives way to lovely floral notes of rose root and sweetness of bilberries. Okay, so maybe that's where I was saying pomegranate. The combination of lemon verbena and Bulgarian juniper give it a lemon sherbet-ish finish. All right. The perfect serve of this gin has always been a topic of debate. Martin's has his with 1 part gin and 2 parts tonic with toasted rosemary. Oh, that's really funny. So they didn't say rosemary anywhere in here, but that was what I tasted. Claire says she has hers with 3 parts tonic, served with a curl of orange peel. All right, so orange or rosemary will be a good garnish for this one. I don't think I have either, so I'm gonna just probably make do with a lime or lemon. Oh, one fun fact about lime and lemon. This is good for you to keep in mind as you cook. So lemon masks flavors. That's why I think we like to put lemon on fishy dishes, like fish dishes, where lime enhances flavors. So lime will recede and push other flavors forward, where lemon stays in the front and sort of covers what's happening. So you can always kind of adjust your citrus based on that. All right, I hope you enjoyed this little gin chat. I will certainly enjoy this really soon, and I will catch up with you again in a couple weeks. Okay, you're back. Hi, I have a few finished objects that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to start actually with a clip that I made last week because I finished some objects and I took them to my granddaughter, my son, and daughter-in-law up in Maine, which is why this episode's a little late. I went to Maine. So I did film a clip. Did I do it right here? I think I did it right here. Maybe Martha's not in the picture, but I think I filmed it right here. So that, but I'll look different. So anyway, watch that and come on back and we'll talk some more. Hey, I hope you don't mind this little interlude. I made a mistake last time I recorded, and I had told you that I would have the rainbow hoodie for you to see in its entirety for my next episode, but it turns out I miscalculated, and I will not have it with me when I record this full episode. So instead, I thought I would just take a moment now, after work hours, so the sun is beaming in my west facing windows, so I'm getting great light, and I just thought I would take advantage. So if I'm not made up or anything, just wearing a simple t-shirt. So anyway, yeah, this is the little hoodie I made for Julie, my granddaughter, out of this beautiful hand-spun, self-striping rainbow yarn that I made from a fiber advent, an 8-day fiber advent that I got from Green Goat Ranch. She is doing them again this year. I don't know if she's doing rainbow. She has themes. She talked about them coming out in August or so. She just released some countdown calendars last month, which I did not partake in because I just am trying to stash down. As you know, I've been talking about that for such a long while. I spun these in the order in which Sarah packaged them. So I went in day order. This is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and day 7 was this yellow green, and then day 8 was red orange, which did not make it into the sweater, just didn't need it. I made 4 skeins of this self-striping yarn, and I knit with a little less than 2. I have about this much left of a skein, so I have plenty to make a larger size when Julie outgrows this. I actually think this is going to be a little bit big for her. She's not quite 2, and I think this came out to be about a size 3 little hoodie. The hoodie pattern is from Maxim Sear. He wrote the pattern for a colorwork bear and flower pattern down here, and I made that sweater, and Julie's been wearing it. It fits her really great right now. I made the size 2, the smallest size. And yeah, I just decided I love that hoodie so much on her, and I think her parents do too. So I decided to use the pattern just with no color work. So that's what I did here. And so you knit top down, right? You put provisional cast on, and then you do the hood afterwards. So what I did was one skein all the way down, second skein, sleeves go on waste yarn, second skein attached here and knit back, so then when the hood is laying backwards, it's matching. The stripes are matching. And then I just let the sleeves be whatever they were going to be. So this one kind of went in order. This is all the blues. And then this is the purpley pink. And then it got into the teal section a little bit, but most of the teal's still here. So yeah, that is the little hoodie. And I ended up, my gauge was bigger, slightly bigger than the gauge called for in the pattern. So I call this like a 2-3. This is definitely bigger than the Mini-Unbearable Hoodie that I made with the color work. But it's not that much bigger. I mean, his pattern, it goes size 2-6. So there's no size 4. Like it doesn't go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 2-6. So, and I think that was because of the color work. Like probably figuring out the repeats for the color work was challenging. It's challenging anyway, but like having that really big bear motif must have been a little challenging for him. So, yeah, so I get it. Probably what I'll do next is either make the 6 a little smaller, since I'm not doing the color work. I don't have to worry about there being a certain stitch count and stuff. So it should be pretty okay. But I just love this. And Sarah of Green Goat Ranch has just been talking about it to everyone, so she tells me. It's really cute. But this was such a joy to spin and a joy to knit. It was really fun watching the stripes come together. Yeah, I love it. I also made and am bringing to my son and daughter-in-law a Scrappy crochet basket. I didn't do this exactly right. I think I needed to hold more yarn because I think it would have been a little more sturdy. It does stand up fine on its own, but I was a little like, so actually for the entire bottom I was doing a half double crochet, not a single crochet. The pattern is written for a single crochet. Oh, and the pattern is on Ravelry. You can also find it on the internet. It is from a woman. Her name is, I believe it's pronounced Cynthia. I'm going to put the name on screen. Cynthia Gonzalez. She is Australian, or at least lives in Australia. And you could find it at mypoppet.au.com.au. Anyway, all on screen and also in the show notes down below. This was so satisfying to make because you literally can do so much with the directions. I would say the pattern, it's free, but I would say it's mostly more of a recipe than a pattern per se. Though I love the directions she writes. She wrote things like, use ugly yarn. It doesn't matter because you're using 8 strands together. No one's gonna know. So yeah, it's, what I did for this, I have so much scrap yarn, like especially fingering weight, and I also have quite a substantial amount of, I have like 2 like under the bed size bins. They're not under the bed, they're in the closet on a shelf, but they're like that size, so they're low, but they're substantial, full of fingering weight and DK weight and higher, thicker, DK and worsted weight together, like bibs and bobs of like leftover yarn from knitting that I've done for the past 10 years. Definitely the past 10 years. And so I just like took one of my project bags and just threw in all these shades of purple, and I added in some cream and stuff too. Let me hold it closer so you can see. And you just crochet. You hold 8 strands together, or the equivalent of 8 fingering strands. Excuse me. So if you have a DK weight, that counts as 2. If you have worsted, that counts as like 2.5. Aran 3. So yeah, so I just did that. I think I should have, because I was using mostly DK and some of the DK were a little thin. I wish I put one more strand, and I think it would have been a little more sturdy. It's a little floppy, a little bit floppy, but I think it's okay. It actually kind of makes a cute bag. Like you could carry, you could do like you could go to the farmer's market with this or something like that. But I'm going to take this up and leave this with my son and daughter-in-law and my granddaughter, and they can do whatever they want. They can let Julie have it, or they can, use it for whatever. And I'm planning to make more. I thought when I first saw the pattern, I was like, oh, I probably have enough to make like 10 of those. But now that I've made one, I'm like, ooh, I probably have enough to make 5. And I was thinking that, it crocheted up so fast. I made this in 2.5 days, just working on it from time to time. And I learned a lot making my first one. So my next ones will be actually have like a group of scrap yarns put together for a blue one, which I might have done by the time I do my full episode. We'll see. So yeah, it's just so satisfying to use up those little bits of yarn that you've been hanging on to forever. For what? Like in case you might need them, and it's useful, right? So here's a really nice use of this, and I'm sure I'm going to wax poetic more about this because I know I have at least one other piece to show you in my full episode recording. I was inspired by that project to make this darling little set of bowls for Julie to play with. I just thought these would be really great imaginary play. She has a play kitchen, so I thought they could go there. But I also thought they might make, like, as she gets older, really cute little, like, catch-alls, like for, I don't know, jewelry or even makeup or, hand creams, something, just really cute and, really cute little things. So yeah, they stack and they're all like color coordinated. So this is the biggest one. I just followed the recipe and cut short how much I did the bottom, and then I kind of modified the way the sides were done so I would get a little bit of a slope. So this one I'm really happy with. The orange one, I think I could have done a little bit better job, but you know what? It fits. It's a little bit too big, but it can squeeze in there just fine. And then I made a yellow one and a green one, and I wish I made the yellow one a little bit bigger, but yeah, again, they're for play. So Julie can use them to stack like this or stack the other way, like this way. She could put them on top of each other. And she can also, she likes to put things in bowls and take them out. So I thought she could use them for that. So yeah, these were just some really fun, scrappy bits of things. I have enough pink yarn to do at least a full-size bucket like this. I also think I have enough of not orange necessarily, but orange with warm tones, so with reds and stuff. And I think yellow was pretty much done. So, and green, these greens, I probably have plenty of. But yeah, again, these are just all single crochet. And I forgot to say the size hook. The size hook I used was a 9mm. I think that's a US M or N. And yeah, this is just really fun, cute little, look at what a great gift this is gonna make. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see her. So yeah, that's my little interlude. I'm gonna now send you back to future me, I'm past, I guess, me, for the rest of the show. Okay, so those crochet projects, well, first of all, that rainbow hoodie. It's really cool, right? The best part about that rainbow hoodie is that I have enough extra yarn to make a second one. Because I have these and then 2 full skeins, so I can make a second one a little bigger. So when she outgrows this one, I'll have another one in the wings waiting for her. But anyway, let's talk crochet, because I think I said it in the clip, those crochet baskets, that crochet basket really ate up a lot of yarn. It's so satisfying to use up all of these like little, dribs and drabs of yarn that you have hanging around. And so after I made that one, and then I made those bright bowls, I went on and I grabbed all my gray and white, whatever I had left, and my idea was to make a cat bed. So this is what I made. I just went in a gradient pattern. It has a very low, it's hard to show because it's kind of floppy. It has a very low side. My cat doesn't really like it all that much, so I'm probably just going to use it as a tray. It's pretty nice. I've put my son collected rocks over the years. Like, he was just one of those kids who like always picked up a rock from places. I have jars of rocks that he's put aside. So I have some really massive ones that are beautiful that he brought back from Ireland, and then a couple others that he found other places. So I put them all in this tray, and it's like I love the dichotomy of these really, really hard, heavy things in this soft, squishy, throw it around kind of tray. Sorry, I hope that you didn't hear that. I just moved the microphone because it was in my way. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It looks pretty good. I'll put a picture on screen if I didn't already. This is immensely satisfying, and you can do these so quickly. I'm knitting them with a 9mm. I think I may have said that already in the other clip. And you use 8 strands of fingering weight together. You can even probably use 9 if you want it. I'm going to try with 9 in my next one. The woman who designed the pattern, it was funny. I was looking at her information on Instagram, and she was writing, I just have enough scrap yarn now to make another bucket. She had made one. Maybe she made more. I don't know. But she was like, and I was thinking, like, that's kind of an interesting way to think about it. I have really, really loved watching the scrap quantity. So I have 2 plastic bins of scraps. One of DK, worsted, and Aran, and then the other one of fingering weight. And they both have been full to the brim, like I could barely fit anything else in there kind of thing. It's been really great watching those levels go down and having more room. And also in my mini jar that I have a big glass apothecary jar that I keep my mini skeins in, watching that jar go down, and now there's space there. So I have other minis stuck away in drawers that I can now add to that jar. It's amazing. It feels so good. It's like, yay, finally. And in this case, like, most of these yarns are 10 years or older in here. There are a few that are less. But the 3 colors of gray, the gray, 2 shades of gray and ivory are over 10 years old. I've just had them hanging around thinking I would use them for something. And then of course you never do. You just go buy another skein. Or, maybe it's not quite right what you were planning to, maybe use it for. I'm not that good about going back and looking at my scraps, unless I'm really desperate, like I run out of yarn working on a project. So anyway, that has been so fun. I do find I get very obsessive about it. So I have a blue one queued up right now that I'll probably have the next time I film. It'll probably be done. But I have put off starting it because once I start it, like doing the bottom, because you're increasing at a certain pace, I find I kind of do it obsessively. And yeah, so I'm just trying to pace myself, I guess is probably a good way to put it. I have another finished object besides those. Also, they're so satisfying because they're so fast too. I finished the DRK Everyday Socks that I was making for a friend of mine. His birthday is in July. These are out of MCN blend from Stranded Dyeworks in the colorway Batcave. I don't think this colorway has been dyed by Stranded in quite some time. Here it is on the skein. It's like a cream color or a pale gray with flecks of black and gold, like a really like poppy bumblebee yellow. It's really pretty. the good news is, these were fingering weight. So I have been knitting, I've been on this kick of knitting DK weight socks using the DRK Everyday Sock pattern. And I've adjusted it. So these are a size 10, men's size 10 shoe. So I've adjusted the pattern so that it will fit a size 10 shoe. And then I'm going to, I wish she would just come out with a DK version of it so I wouldn't have to do all of this, but she didn't. She hasn't yet anyway. So I'm going to, I have enough yarn to make another pair. So I used exactly half. I have 52 grams left of each skein. And these were 100 gram skeins. So I assume I have enough for another pair of size 10, but I actually think I'm going to use these to make my size because I really like these so much and I want to twins with my friend. I don't know when I'm going to do that. Instead, I'm working on, a whole bunch of, may as well just stay on socks for the moment. We'll move over to whips. I have a bunch of socks planned for, I'm making, chunky DK weight socks for each of my adult children and their partners this year for Christmas. I will give them other things. This isn't the only thing I will give them for Christmas. I don't even know why I felt like I had to say that. But anyway, I have started another pair. I have a whole bunch. So I'm going to crank through. There are 5 of them. So I'm going to crank through the 5 of them, these 5 pairs of DK weight socks. From now until whenever they're done, and then from there I'll go on to choose other things, to other sock patterns to knit, or maybe other socks for other people. I don't know. But I did go ahead and cast on another pair. These are for one of my sons, and the colorway is called Chaos Resistance. It is from the Corner of Craft. I think I mentioned earlier this year that I bought 4 skeins of, I think I showed them even, 4 skeins. Maybe I said I would show them when I knit them. So this is the first one that I'm knitting. The reason I chose this, so I put the color, I chose a color for each child, each adult. And I went with this one first because since I'm knitting 4 of the same yarn, I thought, well, let me make the size 10, the men's size 10, first, and then from there I'll be able to edit either up or down because I do have a men's size 8, a woman's size 8, and a men's size 13. So I have 2 women's size 8s that I'm going to do. I'm also an 8, so that's good. It'll be my size. And then a size 13, men's size 13 to make. So this way I'll be able to gauge how big I can make the sock, how much smaller, whatever, for all the others. So yeah, this is one of my whips, and I love making this pattern in DK. One of the things that I found, and I've heard other sock knitters talk about this before, is that when I've made a traditional sock where you make a heel flap, I love that. I love the way it fits. When I get to the heel flap, I stop. So I'll put it down and I'll stop. I won't work on it for a while. And then sometimes when I get to if I'm doing top down, when I get to the foot, I'm fine. Like once I get past the heel, all's well, and I just crank through it. When I go the other way and I have to do a heel flap, toe up, and I'm doing a heel flap, when I get to the leg, I stop. I don't know why. But with the DRK Everyday Sock, you're doing a Flegel heel, which fits great. I love the ribbing. The ribbing is a little more forgiving in terms of like variability of foot shape, I find. And also because the Flegel heel, all you're doing is increasing. You're not really doing a heel flap until you get to this part here. And that is just kind of, slipping stitches and knitting stitches together, and until you get back to the number of stitches that were on the foot that now will match the leg. I find that really smooth and easy. I don't have to think about it too much because I pretty much have the pattern memorized by now. So it's been really great. Really, really enjoy that pattern. So you'll be seeing more of it. There will be more of those coming. I'm just going to do the same pattern over and over. It might be boring for some of you, but it'll be fun because of the yarn. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about what Martha's wearing. So yeah, I have made quite a lot of progress on my daily pullover. Can you see it well? Yeah, I think so. This is the daily pullover by Paula Peiriera. I made one of these before. It is designed for the yarn Linen Quill by Purl Soho. I like it okay. I'm not in love with that linen quill. I know a lot of people are in love with it, but I'm not in love with it. It's made out of alpaca mostly, and alpaca's a very short fiber, which means it pills. So I've worn that sweater a few times. I actually loved it. I was wearing it a lot while it was still we were having kind of a cool spring, but it looks really beaten up. It looks like I've owned it for years, and I don't necessarily love that. And yes, I could shave it, and I probably will, but it really looks like a shabby old sweater now. And so if that's kind of your jam, you might really love that yarn. I don't know how that yarn, like being that it's such a small fiber, a short fiber, I don't think that you can avoid the pills. I mean, I know superwash pills too, but I was sort of interested in seeing what the pattern would look like with a smooth yarn. So this is a superwash. Oh my goodness, I don't think, oh wait, here it is. This isn't I left the yarn that I'm knitting with over on the couch. Because as you can see, I just bound off the body. It looks like it has a deep V, but there's actually this very big trim that will go up to like here, that will fill in all of this. So you'll see that, you'll have seen that in the picture that I put on. And it is long sleeves, so I'll be doing long sleeves. And it is superwash yarn, and so the likelihood of it growing is quite high. This is, I actually hope it grows, because I was a little bummed that it wasn't, I made the exact same size that I made with the linen quill. I mean, I pretty much got gauge. I got the similar gauge to what I got with the linen quill, but I don't know, maybe I just rushed and didn't knit as deep as I should have, as long as I should have. So I hope it does grow, and I hope it gets a little wider. But I think this will really be great for right now. Not 90-degree temperature, but like the cool summer mornings and evenings that we often have here in the Northeast. So the yarn is from Spun Right Round. It is her classic sock, which is 100% superwash merino. This is my remaining skein. I did not alternate skeins. I bought 3 skeins, and you can see I changed yarn a few rows above where this started happening, these spots, and those spots are like all the way around. So yeah, I don't know, I don't care, it doesn't bother me. I kind of like it actually. I wish it happened up there too, but I think the way that you knit this pattern, because you spend so much time going back and forth, because you're just working on this back and forth all the way up to here, and then when you split for the sleeves, you also kind of end the V. I think you end up ending the V a couple rows after you split for the sleeves, but I kind of fudged the pattern to make it happen at the same time. I did the same on my other one. So yeah, I love it. As soon as this is done, I'm casting on another one out of linen that is also from Purl Soho. I've swatched, and I'm ready to go. I've actually already plotted, based on my gauge, what size I should be knitting. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I'll have that done before the summer's over. Yeah. So that is the progress on that. I have made a tiny bit of progress on my Akimi, which I was on hold for quite some time while I waited for another skein of yarn. I think last time I showed it to you, I had not started a sleeve, so now I'm almost done with the sleeve actually. And I short bought the skeins. It was my own dumb fault. Like, I was just thinking it was a fingering weight, which I know 3 skeins of fingering weight works for me for a sweater. This was sport weight, so I really needed 4 skeins. So I bought a 4th skein, and the dye lot is slightly different. So I am going to show you. I think you can see the transition. You can barely see it. It's slightly, like this side is a little bit bluer. That's a little bit yellower. So I knit a few rows and I checked it out in some really bright sun, and I was like, okay, yeah, there's a difference. So I started to alternate skeins every other row, so that I don't really think you can tell. And I should have enough to alternate skeins between for both sleeves. And if I don't, it's fine. It's not going to bother me too much, I don't think. But yeah, this is the Akimi. It is a pattern from Amarusu. Oh my gosh, am I messing? I feel like I'm butchering the way to say it. I have some copies of it over there. Do I have any over here? Yeah, Amarusu. It's from that magazine, and that's about all I can say. The stitch, I love the way it looks. I love these stitches. I love the way they look. They are a pain in the neck to make, because you do need to pay attention to what you're doing every row. And on a short row where you just have about 50 stitches or 60 stitches going around and around, those rows come very fast. So but I'm making progress, so hopefully I'll have this done next time I see you. It is so pretty. I love this mint. Oh, the yarn is from Moondrake Yarn Company from the Heartland. I really like this company quite a lot. I think it's owned by, I believe she's Korean, but she really has unique bases. She's an indie dyer, but she has unique bases. She does a really thick mohair, if you're interested, a mohair silk. I think it's mohair silk. So this is 100% Cormo sport, non-superwash. It's a 2-ply, so if you're looking for unique indie dyed bases, also often non-superwash, I feel like she has her finger on the pulse of what us knitters want. She seems to figure out what we want before we know what we want, if that makes sense. This is a new colorway for her this spring, and it's the colorway Mint. Yeah, it's beautiful yarn. I would not hesitate to buy more. I'm very interested to see how it wears, but yeah, it's been really nice to work with and beautiful. I would buy it again in a heartbeat if I had something planned. Oh my gosh, I have one more whip. I am still working on the pure mesh. I didn't frog it yet. I am thinking about frogging it though. I did not make one row since I last spoke to you, so I'm not going to show it. I'll give you an update next time on it, where it's at, whether I frogged it or have finished the front or back or whatever. But I do have a new cast on. It's living in my fat squirrel fiber bag with the sea life, the otter, the crab, and the sea anemone, because it matches. Maybe I was inspired by the bag. I don't know. I surprised myself because I frogged a sweater that I started, and I started it in the last summer when I was still taking the cat on his walks, because I wanted something small. I usually walk with a sock, and I was like having a pause on making a sock, so I decided to start the, oh my gosh, Spark Cardigan by Andrea Mowry, because I had made a Spark. It didn't fit me. That whole thing about steeking a shawl collar that you can't try on because it doesn't really fit right up here, and this is like the important place where you really want it to fit, like from your bust up. You really want to make sure it fits. You probably really want to make sure it fits your hips. So I made it too small, and I said to myself, I'm gonna make another one. So I had bought this yarn, this bright pink yarn from Wing and a Prayer. This is 100% Shetland, indie dyed. If you know Wing and a Prayer, she is basically a one-woman business. I'm sure she has help. Actually, I know she has help because you can see on her Instagram. She has a farm. This is from her own sheep. She has them sheared, she has the yarn produced, and then she naturally dyes the yarn with products from her garden. It's amazing, like the processes that she shares everything. She's so open and you know, caring and sharing with us about her processes. She's an excellent follow on Instagram. If you ever get a chance to hear her speak, definitely give a listen, because she's a very, very humane farmer. Those animals are like her family. So it's really, really great. I love her so much. Her yarn is very expensive though, because of all the processes and all the care and love that go into it, but it's worth it. And she makes a lot of different types of yarn. This is 100% Shetland. She has a small group of Shetland sheep that she shears every year, and I was obsessed with Shetland for a while. I still kind of am obsessed with Shetland. There are different qualities of Shetland. That's kind of the interesting thing. I want to go to Shetland one day. I'll go. The quality of Shetland yarn on one sheep can vary. So to me, it was super interesting. It's a primitive breed. There's so many interesting things about Shetland that I don't really want to spend too much time blabbering away about. But nevertheless, check them out. They're really great sheep. So that's what inspired me to buy this wool, because it's Shetland, and it was this really bright color, which I just thought, how unusual. Natural dyes, usually you see these very muted colors, so I thought this is so vibrant and pink and beautiful, I must have it. So I bought a sweater's quantity. I think I bought 5 or 6 skeins. It is worsted weight. The funny thing about it, I didn't pay close attention, but it's a single ply, but it's really chunky for a single ply. I always think of single plies as fingering weight, and those yarns are so delicate. I've really just kind of stopped buying them because they make beautiful shawls, but I have a ton of shawls and I'm not making shawls. So I'm trying really hard not to, I try not to buy singles. And when this arrived and I saw it was singles, I was like, oh no, I want singles. But it's really thick. So, because it is a worsted weight. So I think it's going to be fine in this project that I'm making. And at worst case, I'll get some pilling, but being that it's Shetland, I think I'm probably going to be okay with it. It does have, Shetland, as I was saying, can vary on the one sheep itself, could have different grades of wool, and that's typical. And farmers in the, going back before we had all the technology we have now, would separate the fibers and go, okay, this is for clothing, this is for rugs and household, objects, or whatever, sails, whatever they were making out of the wool. These days, I think there's a little bit more control on the sheep, and a sheep that produces more of the same type of wool is more desirable, I guess. I don't know. I don't know a lot about farming, so I'm not an expert by any means in that. But I did really enjoy knitting this when I was making the spark. I only made the spark, I did those cuffs, those massive 1x1 cuffs and a little bit of the color work, and then I stopped and put it aside, and I just kept saying to myself, I'll get back to that, I'll get back to that, I'll get back to that, and I never did. So I frogged it a couple weeks ago and cast on a new project, mostly because of the stash acquisitions I got. So I have cast on the throwback cardigan. I made one of these before in fingering weight. I adjusted the pattern and made it in fingering weight. I chose to steek that one. This one I decided to just knit the way the pattern was written, which is just want you to get a good view. Wait, let me turn it around. That might be better. Can you really see it? So this, I decided to go back and forth the knitting and purling, because Andrea wrote the pattern so that you knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl in a back and forth way. So you can see that it's open here. I didn't want to steek it because the lighter weight version that I made, and it may have been because I did a lighter weight version, when I opened it, there was this weird warping that happened with this part where I did the color work, and I'm hoping to avoid that this time around. Like, I just didn't, it made a weird bubble, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was because I steeked it, and I couldn't block it out. I tried. If I blocked it out, I was going to end up with a very, overly long, like a couple inches overly long front. It may be the way I did the bands, because when you steek, you knit the bands first, and then you steek. I don't know. Anyway, steeking, if you don't know, is cutting your knit up look it up. Go ahead and Google it because you need to see it. But it is basically, it's knitting color work in the round with some waist rows that then end up being the line that you cut on. So you'll cut the knit open, and then you end up with two pieces. So it can be really nice to knit color work in the round. I have to say, knitting the color work, because the way this pattern's written, when you're purling, you're purling exactly. You're not creating new color work. You're just following what was set up in the knit row. So you knit across, making some changes, then you purl back. It's really hard to purl color work. More so because, like, I kind of came up with a way to hold because when I'm doing color work, 2 colors of color work regularly, I'm holding the needles, and I have a color in both hands. So I'll have a color tensioned here, and I'll have a color tensioned here. And so then I'm able to alternate, which hand which hand the needle's taking the color from. But when you're purling, it's a little harder, because that continental purl, like purling with the yarn tensioned in your left hand, is difficult. I'm not used to it. I can knit continental style just fine, but purling, not so much. And there are points in this color work where you are using 3 colors. So there's a few rows where you're using 3 colors. That was not fun at all. So yeah, I struggled a little bit, but you know what? Overall, this is very short. It is worsted, so it goes very fast. It's not a lot of rows, so it was okay. I got through it, and I split for the sleeves, and I am now working on the body. This is a little bit of a cropped sweater. I mean, for me, this is cropped, what Martha's wearing, so I probably will do this length. So I think you're supposed to knit, she calls for knitting the body 8 or 9 inches, and then you do about a 4-inch rib. I think it's 4 inches on the bottom, which I'm excited for that style. I'm hoping it's very boxy. So we'll see. So besides the base yarn, the other colors I used are all Spin Cycle. These are all Dream State from the package, the mystery package that I got I got it 3-4 weeks ago but I showed you last time in my last episode. The colors here are, let's see if I can remember them. The first one, the lightest one, is Miss Me. The next one is Bright Ideas. And the last one is Shades of the Earth, that brown. But doesn't it look great? I love the way these colors look. I just think it looks so good. Yay! I think this is so out of the box for me color-wise too, like this fuchsia. Hopefully I'll wear it. If I don't, I'm going to give it to someone who will really love it and wear it and cherish it. As I do with knits that I'm like, okay, that was fun to knit, but I don't really want to wear it. I'll have more about this next time. This has now become, because this is in this point where I need to pay attention until I get over to the sleeves, this has now become the knit that I do when I'm grading papers or, watching something with subtitles, which is why there's no V here yet, because I was watching Pachinko on Apple TV, and subtitles. They speak English occasionally, but it's mostly Korean and Japanese, and I speak neither of those languages. So I wasn't able to work on this V-neck because ripping out the provisional cast on in the back and then picking up stitches, I need a good hour or so to do that, and I need to put something on that I don't really need to pay attention to. Yeah, how am I doing on time? Oh, pretty good. All right, I have a little bit of spinning. I'm going to show you spinning. I have one new stash thing to show you. So I have continued my journey of spinning the tonal skeins, and this, to recap, is a mixture of advents, fiber advents that I've gotten. One big one that 24-day that I got in 2020, and then a 12-day that I got in 2021, as well as some small bits and bobs of fiber that were enough to make a skein, but it was going to be a small skein, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to just kind of combine all of these by tones and knit and spin some tonal skeins that I could easily pull and use for color work. So these are the next 3. I made 5 last time. This time I made 3. These are the next 3 that I have done, that I've completed. There's this beautiful spring green one. They all have a little bit of sparkle in them too. There's always something, you could see a little bit there. There's always some skein that has sparkle. This is bright orange. I had a pretty substantial amount of this bright orange. I had about maybe 40 grams of some bright orange, and then I mixed in some other oranges for this really nice tonal. When I was spinning this, I hated it. I was like, this is so ugly, but now I love it. Once I saw it as yarn, I was like, this is such an ugly color. But now I'm like, wow, it's really beautiful. This will make a great contrasting color on something, won't it? And it's so pretty. It's a little on the small side. It's only about 80 grams. But yeah, it's really beautiful, and it's so soft. And then I made this turquoise one as well. This is one of the bigger skeins. I think it was like 115 grams or so. This I was expecting to absolutely love and adore, but it's actually, I ended up using, so some of the fiber that I had was coarse, and that happened to me with a couple of the other skeins too, like the yellow one. It's very coarse, and this, just because of the coarseness and some of the shorter fibers that were in the wool, I just ended up with a thicker, it's probably trending more towards DK than fingering, where these two are very definitely fingering. So yeah, it's just how it goes. I do have a project that I want to make with some of these tonal skeins, although I have a lot of single skeins of handspun, so I may just kind of pull together something using some of the other single skeins that I have. So this makes a total of 8. There was so much green fiber that I separated it into light green and dark green, so I am working right now on dark green, and I still have red violet, and blue violet to do, so I've got a total of 4 more, and then this project will be done, which is great because Tour de Fleece is coming. I don't know if you're a spinner, but if you are and you do Tour de Fleece, I join a team, Green Goat Ranch's team. She does it with Wool for the Dame, who's another New Jersey indie fiber dyer. Green Goat is down in the Red Bank area of New Jersey, which is along the shoreline of New Jersey, along the Jersey Shore. It's on the more northern side of the shore. And yeah, I went to her farm and learned how to spin a few years ago. So I love her so much. She's such a wonderful person. And she has 3 Emmys from working on the Muppets. So working on Sesame Street and working in that team. So what's not to love? So anyway, she has a team. It's very low key. You choose your own goals. So for my goals, I'm going to do 2 sweaters quantities. Maybe, I hope I'll get them done. I do want to do 1 because I want to join the Spin It to Knit It Cal that Andrea Mowry's doing. It's beginning July 1 as well, along with Tour de Fleece. But it's a year-long knit-along, which for me is way too long. So I'm going to spin the yarn. I'll cast on at some point between now and next July so that it's So at least, you know, I'll get it done by then. It's with the knit part of that is a weekender, which I've already made 2 of those. So yeah, I put together, I have them back on the bed over there. Can you see them? Not really. I put together a blue one, which is probably going to be the one I'm going to end up spinning. And then there's this really bright, creamy white, but bright splotches of bright colors on it. I love the way that one looks, but I don't think I want to wear it. We'll see how it looks. Maybe the yarn finished will sway me. Who knows? Okay, I am wrapping it up. I got the new pom-pom. I subscribed to pom-pom this year. So this is my 2nd edition. I don't know what made me subscribe. Oh, it was the last issue. I don't think I have it over here. Do I? I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is. This is what made me subscribe. I saw there was sneak peeks of this issue, which is all really beautiful pastels, and I still really want to make this pattern. This is the cloud bow. You could see they changed their format. They sent us subscribers an email saying that they were changing their format and that the price was going up, but that they weren't changing the price for us, obviously. Yeah, so it went from 12.5 pounds to 17.5 pounds, so a 5 pound increase. But they continue to really knock it out of the park with their patterns. I mean, like so many other people, I love the crochet tunic here. I actually considered getting the yarn and just going ahead and working on it, but I held back because again, trying not to buy a lot of yarn. And I love this one too. It's a intarsia, apparently, knit. And it's just really, there's something about it. I find it useful to wait for people to publish their patterns, or to sometimes there are some patterns that I'm like, yes, I'm going to make that, and I'm one of the first ones to knit that, like Hannah by Junko Okamoto. But other patterns where I'm like, I'm going to wait and see how that knits up by normal people that aren't styling it and see how I like it. Because that really helps sometimes. There are some patterns that I've seen after a few dozen people have made a pattern. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to make that. Like that. That looks problematic. It's not always the pattern's fault. Sometimes it's just the interpretation. It just kind of helps me understand a little better what's going on with that pattern. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me and sticking it out this far. I put in some clips somewhere. I probably will put it at the end of a fawn. She was in the first, she was in my last episode, and she was like 2 days old in that because she was like really kind of wobbly on her feet. But I was out running, and one morning on my way back from a run coming into our driveway, and she was in this patch of grass staring at me. She's so cute. And my sister was telling me that there's 3 of them. There's 3 little fawns, spotted fawns around the living in the woods around our house, and they're hanging out together. So the does found each other and are hanging out together with their kids. So, and the other 2 are twins. So I haven't seen those yet, but they are in the evening. Sometimes you just see them sort of slipping through the shadows of the woods around our house. It's really, really fun to see. But yeah, that footage I think will be in at the end here. And all right, I'll see you soon. I should be back in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I am doing more traveling just because it's summertime, and I'm just, feeling, like getting out of the house is good. And yeah, so anyway, I will see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're well. Please take care of yourself, and yeah, stay safe, and I will see you again. Bye.